Assalamualaikum, welcome everyone. My name is Nur Ambaria Jannah from English Education Department UIN SYARIF Hidayatullah Jakarta. Here's my student number and my class. Let's get started with the book introduction. So, right now I would like to review a textbook. The title of the textbook is An Introduction to International Relations Australian Perspective by Richard Devetak, Anthony Burke, and Jim George. This book was printed at Cambridge University Press, so this book was available at Cambridge website. You can read it online, or if you prefer to read this print book, you may look it and buy the print book at Cambridge website. In case you cannot read the full version of this book at Cambridge website, so I will give you the link to read this book online, PDF version. And I will drop the link at the description box. So if you're interested to read this book after you watch my video, you can visit the link at my description box. And let's continue to our book. This book contains 420 pages. It's quite heavy for light reading, but if you're interested to get to know more about international relations and international law, you can choose to read this book, because in this book contains so many explanations about what you search. And I think this is full of Australian perspective, so that's why if you want to get to know about Australian's point of view, or you have to search about materials for your presentations about Australian, you can choose this book, because this is not just about international law, but one-sided country point of view about international law. Okay, this book is a reference. The type of this book is a reference because this book is full of about discussion materials, and there's no exercise in this book. Let's move to the chapter discussions. There's so many chapters in this book, but there's only 3 main discussion from this book. The first is about the theories of international relations. The second is about the traditional agenda, or it's about states, war, and law. And then the third is about the new agenda, the globalization, and the global governance. There are so many political things at the third main discussion, so it's quite heavy for me to understand and comprehend about that. But at the first chapter, which is contains about the explanation about international law, international relation theories, the evolution, tradition, disciplines, and international issues about feminism. It's quite interesting and it's very easy to understand. And in this book, there is a point of view. In this book, they point about the critical diversity in this globalization era. At the first chapter, they discuss and giving us a strategy to word that critical diversity. So there is an international relation contributions or implementation in this era of critical diversity. The second main discussion is about the states, war, and law. This chapter begins with the explanation about the nationalism. It talks so much about it, and then it talks about the modern state and its origin, the source of the international law, and the impact of the international law to the Australian war. Okay, finally, the last main discussion from this book is about the globalization or the new agenda and the global governance. This chapter is contains so much about political things like multilateral economical institutions, and then globalization of Islam, migration, refuge, global governance, and the United Nations. What is the United Nations can do within the international law, like that. And I think it's quite heavy for me to understand, which because I'm not that international relation major, but I think this quite understandable because each chapters and each points of discussion explained by its expert. How's the book organized? This book is organized by 3 main chapters. Each chapter contains 1 to 3 discussions points, and then the discussion divided again into some points. That's why there are so many materials and explanations in this book. This is full explanations without any exercise, but in each part of discussion, there's a question session to lead us to lead the way of our discussion in this book. So this book is quite interactive with the readers. It feels like when we read this book, we join a discussion, not just reading material. The book way to describe the issues is by making discussion points, and then they come with the explanation, case examples, and then the effect from the issues. The book is relating the international relations and the international law.
Let's move to the
Australian
best from the
perspective.
book. What is this book best for?
I think this book is best for Australian undergraduate students, teachers, lecturers, and scholars who take international relation. Or maybe if you want to read this to get to know more about international relation, because this textbook has a wide side and stating the explanation by its expert, so it's quite trustful, and this book is best guide to comprehend international relation in the way of Australians' perspective. I really love this book because this book makes me feel like not just reading materials, but I was joining a discussion about international relations, and the book also brings some unheard issues to discuss. I also like the way they make discussion points. They make a question first and then mind mapping. It's quite unique to make a materials book like that, and I think it's quite enjoyable for those who doesn't matter with a boring textbook like this, because it's not colorful, not so many pictures in here, and that's why this book is recommended for undergraduate students who will take this lesson seriously. I really love the way book take discussion points to lead the discussion, because it was very straight and organized. What I like least from the book is about the cover. Cover is too boring for me because this is discussing about the modern things, but the cover is too boring. Okay, this is the era when the Corel Draw exists and other edit applications, so I think it's too boring. But the materials there was very interesting and very organized. If I could add some materials in the book, I think I would like to add a discussion about how a normal citizen can take a part in the global governance and United Nations plan or goals in order to get successful together, like that. Because there's only strategies, but there's nothing explanation about how a normal citizen can do, what normal citizen can do to reach the global governance and United Nations goal. On a scale 1 to 10, I think I will take 7 to this book, because considering the political things that I can understand, I could read it, but there's nothing I get from after I read that. But I understand the strategies and other things. It's quite complicated, and the political things, it's not my cup of tea. But overall, this book is very understandable. This book is very organized, and it's very clear. You have to read this book if you like to know about international relations. I think that's all the review from me about the introduction to international relations, Australian perspective. I hope this video will make you understand better about the book and it's helpful for you. Thank you so much for your nice attention and thank you for watching.